Above that ascending row of lights there, they're all solar paneled. And, but the important thing from my perspective, this cost $10.5 million to build. And yeah, right. But you can smash very large helicopters into it with no effect. So on the other end of the spectrum, so in 1989, the Alpine Club of Canada built the Bow Hut. And in those days, we really didn't understand anything about backcountry waste management. So when we built the hut, we allocated $99,000 for the hut and $1,000 for waste management. That was in '89. Today, I would say to people, if the buy-in price is a good waste management system, and if that costs you $100,000, that's your buy-in price before you even start building anything. So that's something to. Good. All right. We have a hut up here, which is this is in the Lake Louise area of the Canadian Rockies. And what we were doing, we had this hut here. We were flying out waste and urine. And for some of us have actually flown in this area. It's a really scary area to fly in. And to be flying around there with swinging barrels is not such a good idea. And it didn't make sense to me that how could all this have happened without, we weren't considering this. And what I call this is the road to Damascus. My conversion into waste management was when I was the chairman of the Huts Committee for the Alpine Club for 8 years. And then in 1990, I met with the German Alpine Club, where I proudly said, well, we have 18 huts. How many do you have? And they said 500. And I said, yes, but ours are nice huts. So since then, I haven't met with the German Alpine Club. No, that's not true. They gave us these, and they just finished an enormous study of water, energy, and waste management in high alpine shelters. And this was a catalyst for us. We had it translated, and seeing this, I was, in a sense, so embarrassed about what we hadn't done at the Bow Hut. So in 1991, the ACC, Alpine Club of Canada, organized the first North American conference on this topic. And we had 88 people, paid people, showed up at Lake Louise, which if you think 20 years later, I believe you have 110 people here. That's, in a sense, kind of disappointing that 20 years later, we should be attracting more people to these things. That's certainly not a criticism of these organizers, but it's maybe a criticism of our society. So after our success in '91, there were a variety of other conferences, and I apologize, I wasn't certain of the date of the Australian one, and I'm also not quite certain of these what these things stand for. But anyway. But once you get, so there's been a lot of stuff happening in Europe, constantly happening, but not in North America. And so this is our challenge. So what we had to do was raise money for this. We started this waste management department, and we didn't have any money. And we needed to realize we could fund things through various initiatives. And we hooked up with a Hollywood through a big hotel. A bunch of Hollywood stars would come and ski there, and this would go on television. And we hooked up with this, and we ended up getting $45,000 from this fundraising event, which was quite remarkable. And they had all these very pretty girls hanging around with these Hollywood stars, and they would come and they said, well, what are you doing? And I said, imagine this champagne glass, instead of having champagne on it, actually it's a barrel of frozen shit. And this is what we're talking about. And they went, ooh, they walked off. But I thought it was interesting. And then the other thing we did, on our mountain huts, we put an overnight surcharge on. And this developed money for the Alpine Club of Canada to have a sustainable fund. Unfortunately, the sustainability died a bit. So we realized that the Alpine Club of Canada, we do not own huts. We have huts that sit on public land. And so if anything we were going to do, we would need to work with the administration. Now in those days, we quite honestly, the Huts Committee, of which Dr. Carl Hannigan, who's in the back, was a very strong member of, we knew a lot more about this topic than our land managers. So we would go and see them. And they were very nervous about this because, we were sort of basically, in the end, we told them, we said, listen, if you ran your facilities as well as we ran ours, we would have less of a problem. But of course, that's not really something you say to your landlord. But anyway, so what we did, we had a study done, a biophysical study done, for the Alpine Club of Canada, and it looked at all of our huts. And the idea in the back of my head was that, and I think this is true, like if water ran into a hut and it flowed out, then surely the water flowing out of the hut should be as pure as the water flowing in. Now, obviously that's a very simplistic statement, but it's a good statement. So if you're not interested in waste management, build below polluted water courses. That's what I would suggest. So I just want to have a very, very quick study here of Abbott Pass. So this hut is about 10,000 feet high, capacity of 24, 600 to 800 overnight uses. Flying out barrels of solid waste, urine, which is now disposed on the site. So what we said in our conference in '92, we had a secret agenda, and the agenda was to accept urine separation as a reality. So this hut sits here, collect water from this side, and this side here is where the urine would drain. And the urine is totally separated, like it becomes no fecal matter contamination. So, and this is just a schematic. All of our huts have this, and this is a very, very valuable tool for us. So urine separation. So, and someone said, well, what are we going to call fecal matter tomorrow? I said, well, we could call it shit. Why not? You know? But it was decided that poop might be a more better term. But it wouldn't work in this. But this is so true. A teaspoon of urine and a barrel of shit is a barrel of shit. You cannot get away from that. A barrel of shit and a barrel of urine is a barrel of shit. And this is absolutely critical, because what we were doing is like, and we'll get to this later on. You laugh. When was the last time you ate so well in the mountain hut? This is actually, I assume the thing was dead and that the knife is just decoration. But the importance of this is more to European huts, is that for 150 years, they've been serving fancy foods, you know, especially European heavy saturated foods, and just dumping all the waste outside. So you had this incredible contamination of saturated fats in the area. And if you start talking about 150 years of contamination, but unfortunately, this is how the hut keepers make their money. So it's not an easy thing. So we should keep things simple when we talk about engineering in urine. And this was a really good line out of our conference. And the question was, what sort of diseases can you get in a hot tub? Well, the answer is, well, it depends what you do in a hot tub. And I just thought that was absolutely brilliant. So it's a brilliant line for life. You can feel free to laugh later on. That was actually a Canadian joke. And that we should remember that pit critters are in many cases the best solution. Don't over-engineer things. Land managers are generally impressed when somebody comes in with some fancy charts and all that, but don't over-engineer it. Simple is quite good. So what can we, as the International Mountaineering Federation, do for you? We've got a global network of mountaineering mountain users with an estimated 10,000 plus huts throughout our worldwide system. 71 federations in 61 countries, global access to these countries through our website. And we can assist you, like if the American Alpine Club produces a document on their website, we would love to link to it. Our objective is that guys in New Zealand do not have to reinvent the wheel. Like this, the UIA will provide the central source. We're not interested in pinching anybody's stuff. That's not our objective. Our objective is to fulfill your objective, which is to get your message out to the world. And we also have, through Linda McMillan, very good connections with the IUCN, the United Nations people, etc. And that ultimately the idea would be is that we can develop technologies here and in the East. It really doesn't matter. When I'm talking about the East, I'm not talking about New England. I'm talking about the Far East, Asia. And these technologies should be transferred across. So I'll leave you a couple of notes here. So this is Tom Lehrer, an American satirist. So life is like a sewer. What you get out of it depends on what you put into it. No, it's too early. I was telling some jokes at the Swiss Alpine Club the other day. I got more of a laugh there. And this is because Gary Larson, I don't know if you've seen this cartoon before, but animal waste management. Here are the animals pouring their waste into someone's house. I think only Larson could come up with that.